9 times in one night. When he saw blood on the bed, the millionaire froze. When he asked me to spend the night with him, I said yes. What I didn't tell him was that it would be my first time. And when he saw the blood on the bed in the morning, everything changed between us. Before we dive into the story, leave a comment saying where you're watching from. Enjoy the story. The storm descended on Manhattan with unusual fury for October. Sophia Morgan pressed her forehead against the cold taxi window, watching lightning tear through the leaden sky. Her fingers drummed nervously against her worn leather purse, the only inheritance from her mother. 26 years old, freelance graphic designer, single by choice, virgin by circumstance. It wasn't as if she'd planned it. At 18, she focused on her studies while everyone around her explored teenage passions. At 21, she cared for her sick mother through 3 devastating years. At 25, she rebuilt her life from scratch, too late for experiences that should have been natural. And now, at 26, she'd accepted an invitation that terrified her. "We're here, miss." The driver pointed to the imposing building ahead. Sophia swallowed hard. The Skyline Tower. 52 floors of vertical luxury, where each apartment cost more than she'd earn in 10 lifetimes. Alexander Bennett lived on the top floor. She'd met him 3 weeks ago at a pretentious gallery opening in Soho. She was there for work, creating visual materials for the gallery. He was there out of boredom, according to his own words. 34 years old, founder of a tech startup he'd sold for obscene figures. Amber eyes that seemed to x-ray souls. Cynical smile of someone who'd seen too much. "You're different," he'd said, blocking her exit as she tried to escape toward the buffet. "Different from what? From all the women here. You're looking at the art. They're looking at me." Sophia had lifted her chin. "Maybe I have better things to look at." He'd laughed, a genuine, surprised laugh. "Have dinner with me?" "No." "Why not?" "Because men like you don't have dinner with women like me without expecting something in return." "Smart." Alexander tilted his head, studying her with that unsettling intensity. "What if I tell you that what I expect in return is exactly that brutal honesty?" She hadn't accepted that night, or the next. But Alexander didn't give up. Daily messages, no expensive flowers or vulgar gifts, just words, asking about her day, commenting on books she mentioned liking, provoking her with debates about art and philosophy. Until a week ago, he'd made a different invitation. "Spend one night with me? No promises, no lies, just the two of us, honest about who we are and what we want." Sophia knew what that meant. She wasn't an idiot. Alexander Bennett didn't invite women to his apartment to play chess. She should have refused, but something in that raw proposal, stripped of false romanticism, attracted her. Maybe it was exhaustion from carrying her secret like a burden. Maybe it was desire to finally allow herself to feel. Or maybe it was simply Alexander, the way he looked at her as if she were a puzzle he needed to solve. The doorman announced her with discreet efficiency. The private elevator rose in silence. Sophia watched her reflection in the mirrored doors. Simple but well-cut navy dress, chestnut hair loose over her shoulders, red lipstick hiding nervousness. She looked confident, though she didn't feel it. The doors opened directly into the penthouse. Alexander waited near the panoramic windows, black dress pants, white shirt with rolled-up sleeves, bare feet. Casual and devastatingly attractive, he held 2 glasses of red wine. "I thought you wouldn't come." Sophia entered, heart pounding. "I thought the same." He offered her a glass. Their fingers brushed during the exchange, and Sophia felt an electric shock run up her arm. "Can I ask you a question?" Alexander asked, leading her to the leather sofa near the windows. The storm transformed the city into a sea of blurred lights. "Depends on the question." "Why did you come?" Sophia drank the wine, buying time. "You invited me." "That's not an answer." He sat beside her, close enough for her to feel his warmth, distant enough not to invade. "You spent 3 weeks avoiding me. What changed?" "Maybe I realized that spending life avoiding risks isn't really living." Is that what I am? A risk? You're the biggest risk I've ever considered taking. Alexander set down his glass and turned completely toward her. I need to tell you something before anything happens. Sophia held her breath. I don't believe in love. Not anymore. His voice was firm, without self-pity. I was married. She cheated on me with my business partner, took half of everything and the best friend I had. I learned that passion is temporary chemistry and promises are empty words. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know who you're dealing with. I can offer you pleasure, companionship, honesty, but I can't offer you love or a future. I'm not that man. Sophia should have stood up, should have left, but something in the vulnerability behind that cynical declaration kept her there. What if I tell you I didn't come looking for love? What did you come looking for? She took a deep breath. Experience, someone who makes me feel alive, even if just for one night. Alexander studied her face for a long moment. Then, slowly, he raised his hand and caressed her cheek with his knuckles. I can do that. The touch was fire and silk. Sophia closed her eyes, allowing herself to feel. But there's one rule, he murmured, moving closer until their lips almost touched. Total honesty. If something bothers you, you stop. If you change your mind, you leave. No guilt. And if I don't want to stop? He smiled against her mouth. Then I'll give you 9 reasons to never forget this night. The kiss started gentle, exploratory. Alexander tasted her lips like someone savoring rare wine, unhurried, mapping every reaction. Sophia grabbed his shirt, anchoring herself, the world spinning. When he finally pulled away, both were breathing hard. First reason, Alexander murmured, voice hoarse, the way you tremble when I touch you. Sophia couldn't respond. He slid his lips along her jawline, descending to her neck, finding the racing pulse in her throat. Heart racing, skin rising. He bit lightly, drawing a moan from her. You're nervous. I'm not. Liar. He smiled against her skin. Remember the rule? Honesty. Sophia pushed him lightly, creating space to breathe. Fine, I'm nervous. Happy? Why nervous? Because this is intense. Alexander took her hand, intertwining fingers. We can go slow. I don't want slow. The words came out before she could censor them. I want to feel everything. Something changed in his gaze, a darker, more primal flame. Careful what you wish for, Sophia. Show me. He pulled her onto his lap in one fluid motion. Sophia gasped, suddenly intimate and vulnerable, feeling every inch of him pressed against her. Second reason, Alexander whispered, hands sliding down the curve of her back. The way you fit perfectly against me. Sophia moved instinctively, and Alexander groaned low, tightening his grip on her waist. You're killing me. Good, she breathed, gaining courage from this new dynamic. You said 9 times. Alexander laughed, a guttural, sexy sound. You're going to regret that provocation. He lifted her effortlessly, and Sophia wrapped her legs around his waist, suspended between his strong arms and the heat of his body. Alexander carried her down the wide hallway, past windows where the storm exploded in light and fury. The bedroom was enormous. King-size bed with impossibly white sheets, minimalist decor in shades of grey and black. Sophia barely had time to register the details before Alexander laid her on the bed, hovering over her like a contained storm. Last chance to change your mind. Sophia pulled him down, sealing their lips in a kiss that answered all doubts. The hours that followed were a fog of sensations. Alexander was patient and demanding at once, alternating between devastating tenderness and raw intensity. He mapped every inch of her skin with hands, lips, words murmured in the darkness. Third reason, the sounds you make. Fourth, the way you give yourself completely. Fifth, how your body responds before your mind even decides. Sophia lost track of where she ended and he began. She surrendered to the current, allowing Alexander to take her to places she didn't know existed. Each time was different, each time deeper, each time harder to remember why this should end at dawn. Sixth, your courage. Seventh, your honesty. Eighth, The way you look at me, as if I'm not a cynical millionaire, but just a man. And then the ninth, the most intense, the one that broke all remaining defenses. Sophia gave herself completely, vulnerable and exposed in every possible way. Afterward, Alexander held her, both sweaty and exhausted, synchronized hearts beating hard. Ninth reason, he whispered against her hair. The way you make me want to believe in things I swore I'd never believe in again. Sophia fell asleep in his arms, happier and more terrified than she'd ever been. Alexander woke with the first grey ray of light piercing through the curtains. The storm had passed. Sophia slept curled beside him, hair spread on the pillow, serene expression. He watched her for a long moment, something tightening in his chest. He shouldn't feel this, that dangerous tenderness, that desire to protect, that hint of panic, imagining she might leave and never return. It was just chemistry, physical attraction, nothing more. He tried to convince himself of that as he got up carefully to avoid waking her. He needed coffee. He needed air. He needed perspective. He went to the kitchen, turned on the Italian coffee maker. While waiting for the water to boil, his gaze wandered to the window. Manhattan was waking under a rain-washed sky. Cleanliness after the storm. Then he heard it, a muffled sound, crying. Alexander ran back to the bedroom. Sophia was sitting on the bed, hugging her knees, silent tears streaming down her face. But that's not what paralyzed him. It was the sheet. The immaculate white sheet now had crimson stains. Not much, but enough to tell a story Sophia hadn't told. Alexander froze in the doorway, mind racing, connecting dots he should have seen. The nervousness, the initial hesitation followed by total surrender. The way she'd whispered first time, in a moment he thought was provocation, not literal confession. Sophia, she hid her face. I'm sorry. I should have cleaned up before you saw. I just woke up and realized, and you were a virgin. It wasn't a question. Heavy silence. Why didn't you tell me? Because you wouldn't have wanted me if you'd known. Her voice was small, broken. Men like you don't want complications, don't want responsibility, and virginity at 26 is the definition of both. Alexander felt like he'd been punched. You think that little of me. I think realistically of you. You said it yourself, no promises, no lies, just one night. But you gave me something you'd never given anyone and didn't think I should know? Sophia finally looked at him, red eyes but defiant posture. What would have changed, Alexander? Would you have been gentler, more careful? You were perfect. You gave me exactly what I asked for. 9 times. The last word came out bitter, self-deprecating. Alexander felt anger, not at her, at himself, for not noticing, for not reading the signs, for leading this extraordinary woman to think she needed to hide her truth to be desired. You don't understand anything. He entered the room, sitting on the edge of the bed, maintaining respectful distance, knowing wouldn't have changed my desire for you. But it would have changed my approach. It would have been different. Different how? Slower. More conscious, more meaningful. It was meaningful, Sophia whispered. To me. Alexander ran his hands through his hair, frustration and something deeper fighting inside him. Why me? Why a declared cynic who warned he couldn't offer a future? Because you were honest. She wiped the tears. Everyone lies. They promise eternity after coffee. But you were brutally honest about your limitations. And I respected that. I thought if I was going to have a first time, I'd rather have it with someone who wouldn't pretend it was more than it was. And what is it? One night, chemistry, nothing more. But even saying it, Sophia couldn't hide the pain in her voice. Alexander extended his hand, slowly, giving her time to pull back. When Sophia didn't move, he caressed her face, wiping away a persistent tear. You were wrong about one thing. About what? About me not wanting complications, about me not wanting responsibility. He held her chin, forcing her to maintain eye contact. I didn't want. Before you, but now. Now what? Now I'm scared. Sophia blinked, surprised. You? Scared? Terrified. Because for the first time in years, I want more than one night, and I don't know if I'm capable of being the man you deserve. If this story is touching your heart, leave a comment and don't forget to like, so more people can find it. Your interaction helps us continue bringing exciting stories like this. Sophia wanted to believe. Every fiber of her being begged her to believe Alexander's words. But logic screamed louder than hope. You're confusing guilt with feeling. Alexander shook his head. I'm confusing fear with clarity. You terrify me, Sophia Morgan, because when I look at you, I want to rewrite all the rules I established to protect myself. I'm not asking you to rewrite anything. I know. And that makes it all worse. He laughed without humor. You don't want anything from me. You didn't ask for promises. You're not demanding anything. And precisely because of that, I want to give you everything. Sophia felt her heart dangerously accelerate. You said you don't believe in love, and I don't. But he hesitated, seeming to fight with himself. But I believe in what I feel when I'm near you, and that has to count for something. Silence settled between them, heavy with possibilities. Sophia was the one who broke first. I need to go. Sophia, please. She stood, pulling the sheet to cover herself. I need to process all of this. I need to understand what happened here. Alexander wanted to argue. She saw it in his eyes, but he nodded, respecting her space. Let me get you clean clothes. While he left, Sophia ran to the bathroom. She leaned on the cold marble sink, studying her reflection. Messy hair, light marks on her neck, eyes bright with unshed tears. She was no longer the same woman who'd entered that apartment the night before. When she returned to the room, Alexander waited with one of his shirts. It'll be big, but thank you. She dressed with her back to him, aware of how absurd this was after everything they'd shared. But she needed barriers. She needed armor against that raw vulnerability. Alexander accompanied her to the elevator. At the door, he gently caught her wrist. Can I see you again? Sophia looked at his fingers on her wrist. He wore an expensive watch, but it was a braided leather bracelet on his other wrist that caught her attention. Simple, worn, completely out of place with the rest. What's that? He followed her gaze. Gift from my grandmother. Before she died, she made me promise I'd never let the scars of the past dictate my future. Did you keep the promise? No. Until last night. Sophia felt her eyes burn again. I need time. How much time? I don't know. Weeks. Months. I need to understand what I'm feeling without you confusing everything with those eyes and that voice. Alexander smiled sadly. What if I promise not to confuse? You will confuse. It's what you do. She touched his face. You confuse. You destroy defenses. You make me want impossible things. Why impossible? Because you're Alexander Bennett, and I'm just a freelance designer who lives in a 400-square-foot apartment in Brooklyn. Our worlds don't mix. They already mixed. Last night, 9 times. The reminder should be provocative. It was. But it also hurt. It was just one night. It wasn't. He pulled her closer, testing, giving her a chance to retreat. When Sophia didn't move, he kissed her. Slowly, deeply. A kiss that tasted of goodbye and promise at the same time. And you know it. The elevator arrived. Sophia entered, turning to see him one last time. If you really want to see me again, she said, prove to me I'm more than chemistry and guilt. How? Figure it out. You're the genius here. The doors closed before he could respond. Sophia collapsed against the mirrored wall, tears finally falling free. What the hell had she just done? She'd slept with a man she'd known for 3 weeks, given her virginity on a stormy night to someone who'd explicitly warned he didn't believe in love, and the worst part, she didn't regret it, not 1 second, but she also didn't know how to survive what came after. 3 days passed, 3 days of deafening silence. Sophia expected messages that didn't come, checked her phone obsessively. Rationally, she knew she'd asked for space. Emotionally, she wanted Alexander to ignore her request. He didn't ignore it. On the 4th day, a delivery arrived. An elegant black box. Inside, a single sheet of paper with firm, masculine handwriting. Reason number 10. You made me want to try. And below, a drawing, a view of the city during a storm, simple but expressive strokes, as if done in a moment of sudden inspiration. Sophia held the paper against her chest, heart tight. On the 5th day, another delivery. A playlist on a flash drive. 10 songs. Each one, Sophia noticed while listening, related to moments they'd shared that night. The first was soft indie, romantic. The 9th was intense, raw. The 10th was a song she'd mentioned loving during one of their message debates. He remembered. On the 6th day, a book arrived. First edition of her favorite author, with a dedication from him to her on the first page. For the woman who taught me that courage isn't the absence of fear, but choosing anyway, Sophia cried. On the 7th day, when she expected another delivery, she was the one who received a message, a simple message that changed everything. Can I see you? No promises, no pressure. Just coffee and conversation. You choose the place. You control the pace. Just let me try. Sophia looked at the proofs of love scattered around her small apartment. Drawing, songs, a book, each one, a demonstration that Alexander had paid attention, that she mattered, that that night hadn't been just chemistry, but the question remained, would it be enough? She typed and deleted 7 different responses. Finally, she sent the 8th. Breakfast. Grandma's Cafe, corner of Madison Avenue and 5th Street. Tomorrow 9 in the morning. Show up without a driver and without a $50,000 watch. The response came in seconds. I'll be there. Alexander arrived 5 minutes early. Sophia saw him through the window of the traditional cafe where generations of New Yorkers had drunk coffee since the 1950s. He wore worn jeans, simple black t-shirt, sneakers. The expensive watch had been replaced by the leather bracelet. He looked normal, dangerously normal. She waited for him to enter before waving from a back table. Hi. He smiled, nervous. Alexander Bennett, nervous. Can I sit? You asking permission is disturbing. He laughed, sitting. I'm trying to be respectful. Try being yourself. It worked better last time. The tension broke a bit. The waiter came. Alexander ordered black coffee and toast. Sophia noticed he let her order first, adjusting his order to match hers. Small gestures, small attentions. I received your deliveries. And they were surprising, unexpected, a bit scary in how precisely you pay attention. I spent 3 weeks talking to you, Sophia. Of course I paid attention. Why are you really here, Alexander? He held the coffee cup the waiter had brought, looking at the dark liquid as if it contained answers. Brutal honesty. Always. Because I spent 7 days trying to convince myself that that night was only physical, that what I feel is guilt or possessiveness or wounded ego because you left. He raised his eyes, and Sophia saw something broken and brave there. And I failed, miserably. It's still not love. No, it's not. I still don't believe in that. He extended his hand across the table, stopping centimeters from hers. But I believe in possibilities, in trying, in seeing what this can become if we stop fighting against it. You said you couldn't offer a future, and I can't. Not promises of eternity or fairy tales. He turned his hand, palm up, offering without forcing. But I can offer today, and tomorrow, and each day until one of us decides they don't want this anymore. And if I want more, then maybe I'll learn to give more, or maybe not. But we won't know if we don't try. Sophia looked at the extended hand, pronounced lifeline. Small scars on the knuckles, hands that had touched her with reverence and desire, hands that had drawn a storm thinking of her. I have conditions. Tell me. Slow, very slow. Dinners. Conversations. No pressure for that. That? She blushed. You know. Alexander smiled mischievously. You need to specify. My memory is terrible. Jerk. Ah, that. He intertwined his fingers with hers, finally. Can I touch you like this? His thumb traced circles on the back of her hand. Sophia nodded, unable to speak. And if I want to kiss you? At the end of a dinner. After we talk and laugh and I find you even more incredible than I already think. Then you ask. I'm asking now. Sophia looked around. The cafe was full, ordinary people living ordinary lives, no one paying attention to them. Here? Why not? You chose the place. You told me not to wear the millionaire mask, so here I am, an ordinary guy in an ordinary cafe, asking permission to kiss the extraordinary woman in front of him. Sophia should refuse. Slow, she'd said, but the way Alexander looked at her, as if she were the only person in the universe. One kiss. He leaned across the table. Sophia met him halfway. Their lips touched, soft and sweet, tasting of coffee and fragile promises. When they separated, Sophia was smiling. Does this count as slow? Terrible example of slow, she admitted. Can I try again? I promise it'll be slower this time. Alexander Bennett, you're impossible, but you like it. And Sophia realized with a mix of joy and terror that it was true. 3 weeks. 3 weeks of dinners, of conversations lasting until dawn, of stolen kisses in deserted corners, of silly messages throughout the day, of Alexander showing up at her tiny studio with Thai food when she forgot to eat lunch. 3 weeks of Sophia getting to know the man behind the cynical facade. He took her to places she didn't expect, not expensive restaurants or exclusive events, but to the used bookstore where he bought his rare first editions, to the park where he ran every morning, trying to quiet his hyperactive mind, to the orphanage he funded anonymously, where children hugged him, calling him Uncle Alex. You donate to them, Sophia said, watching him play soccer with 8-year-old boys. Since I sold the company, anonymously, no publicity, because I don't want it to become marketing. Why an orphanage specifically? Alexander kicked the ball back to a laughing boy. I was one of them, 6 to 16 years old. My grandmother took me out when my parents died in an accident, but I never forgot. I never will. It was in those moments that Sophia saw Alexander's layers, the vulnerability hidden under cynicism, the generosity masked by indifference, the fear of loving disguised as choice. But always when she thought she was getting close to his core, Alexander pulled back, never invited her to his apartment, never slept at her place, kissed her until she forgot her own name, but stopped before things progressed. Why don't you touch me anymore? Sophia asked one night, after a particularly devastating kiss that ended with Alexander pulling away, breathing hard. I touch you. Not like that. She gestured between them. Not like that night. Alexander ran his hands through his hair, frustrated. Because I promised slow. What if I don't want slow anymore? Sophia, do you want me? You know I do. Then why? She stopped, understanding hitting. You're scared. No, you are. You're scared that if we sleep together again, it'll mean something you're not ready to admit. Alexander didn't deny it. Sophia felt anger and tenderness simultaneously. You're a coward. Yes, I am. You say you want to try, but you keep one foot out the door. I'm trying to protect you. From what? From me. From my limitations. From hurting you when I realize I'm not capable of being what you need. Sophia stood from the park bench where they were. The night was cold, rare stars fighting against the city's light pollution. You want to know what I need, Alexander? What? I need someone willing to risk. Not perfect, not with all the answers, just willing. I am risking. No, you're controlling. There's a difference. Risk is uncertainty, it's vulnerability, it's jumping without a safety net. She touched his face, forcing him to look at her. But you're still building nets under every step. What if I don't know how to stop? Then learn, fast, because I'm not going to wait forever while you decide if I'm a risk worth taking completely. She walked away, heading toward the park exit. Alexander caught up to her in 3 steps, spinning her around. Don't go. Give me a reason to stay. And then he did something that shocked her. Alexander Bennett, the man who didn't believe in love, who'd built 10-foot walls around his heart, knelt down. There, in the middle of the dark park, he knelt before her. Alexander, I'm terrified, he said, voice broken. Terrified, because when I look at you, I see a future, and I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know how to be the man who imagines plans 5 years from now, when I spent 5 years promising never to plan anything beyond today. Sophia felt tears burning. But I'm more terrified of losing you, of letting fear decide my life again, of waking up 10 years from now and realizing that the realest thing I ever had, I let slip away because I was too cowardly to hold on to it. Get up, Sophia whispered, pulling him up. Alexander rose, but kept her hands trapped in his. You want all my truths. Here they are. I think about you when I wake up. I check my phone 100 times a day looking for your name. I invent excuses to be near you. I hate when we say goodbye at night. I count the hours until I see you again. And yes, I want to touch you. I want to sleep beside you. I want to wake up with you. I want everything. And that terrifies me because I still don't know how to call this love. But I know it's something I don't want to lose. Sophia was openly crying now. Then don't lose it. How? Jump. With me, without a net. Alexander studied her face for a long moment. Then slowly he took the leather bracelet off his wrist and placed it on hers. My grandmother said not to let the past dictate my future. So I'm going to stop letting it. I'm going to jump. With you. He kissed her. And this time, he didn't stop. They returned to Sophia's apartment. 4 flights without an elevator, 400 square feet of chaotic studio filled with design sketches, stacked books, plants she insisted on keeping alive, and a sofa bed that was all her furniture. Alexander looked around as if viewing a museum. It's perfect. It's tiny and disorganized. It's you, therefore perfect. Sophia laughed, suddenly nervous again. You don't have to. Shut up and kiss me. She obeyed. This time was different. It didn't have the desperate urgency of the first night. It was slow, deliberate, each touch a question, each answer a promise. Alexander undressed her with reverence, as if unwrapping something sacred. When they finally lay on the tight sofa bed, bodies intertwined, Alexander stopped. Did it hurt last time? Sophia froze. No one had asked. She hadn't commented. A little at first. Guilt crossed his face. Sophia, don't do that. Don't turn that night into something it wasn't. It hurt for 5 minutes. The rest was 5 hours of perfection. Still nothing. I'm fine, more than fine. And if you don't touch me in the next 30 seconds, I'm pushing you off this couch. Alexander smiled. 30 seconds is a long time. And then words ended. It was different, slower, more conscious. Alexander stopped at every movement, checking, adjusting, making sure every sensation was pleasure, not discomfort. And when they finally joined completely, Sophia understood the difference between sex and intimacy. The first night had been fire and desire. This was fire and connection. Afterward, lying in the cramped space, Alexander pulled her to his chest. Can I stay? You're asking, trying to respect your space. Stay. Please, he kissed her hair. The couch is small. Then you'll have to hold me all night. What a sacrifice. Sophia smiled against his skin. Alexander? Thank you for jumping. Thank you for making me want to. 8 weeks. 8 weeks of happiness Sophia didn't know was possible. Alexander continued working, but adjusted schedules to fit her in. Sophia continued designing, but now with renewed inspiration. They were boyfriend and girlfriend, partners. Neither used labels, but they also didn't date other people. It was imperfect and wonderful, until the night everything collapsed. Sophia was at Alexander's apartment for the first time since that fateful night. He was cooking, or trying, while she browsed books on his shelf. That's when she saw it. A photography book, and inside, used as a bookmark, a photo. A blonde woman, beautiful, sophisticated, smiling in what looked like a wedding day. The ex-wife. Sophia held the photo, hands trembling. She shouldn't snoop, she knew, but something forced her to turn it over. On the back, handwritten, Alexander, I'll never forget what we had. Call me when you're ready to talk. Victoria. Date, 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks. Exactly when Alexander had started investing in her. When he'd jumped, Sophia felt nauseous. Find something interesting? Alexander appeared with 2 wine glasses. She raised the photo. His expression closed. Sophia, 3 weeks ago. I can explain. She contacted you, your ex, the one who destroyed you. Sophia hated how her voice trembled, and you didn't tell me, because it meant nothing. A message from 3 weeks ago used as a bookmark is nothing. Alexander set down the glasses with forced care. She called, said she made a mistake, that she wanted to talk. And you? I said no, clearly, definitively no. But you kept the photo with her message. I was reading the book when she called. I wrote down the number to block it properly later and forgot it there. It means nothing, Sophia. Or it means you still haven't closed that door completely. I'm with you. Are you? Or are you using a simple designer as a band-aid for a wounded ego while you decide if you still want the sophisticated ex? The silence was deafening. Is that what you think of me? Alexander's voice was low, dangerous. After everything, you really think I'd use you like that? I don't know what to think. You said it yourself that you don't believe in love, that you only offer today. How do I know you won't wake up tomorrow and realize she's what you really want? Because I chose you, or you chose not to be alone. Alexander stepped back as if he'd been slapped. You're twisting everything. I'm seeing clearly for the first time. You talk about jumping, but you keep hidden parachutes. This photo is a parachute, a reminder that you have an alternative if this goes wrong. You're being ridiculous. Then throw it away, now in front of me. Alexander looked at the photo, at Sophia, back at the photo, and hesitated. It was only a second, maybe less, but it was enough. Sophia felt something break inside her. You hesitated. Sophia, You hesitated. When I asked you to throw away a photo of a woman who betrayed you, you hesitated. It's not about her. Then what's it about? Alexander ran his hands through his hair, frustrated. About you giving me ultimatums, about you not trusting me, about you twisting something insignificant into proof that I'm lying. Trust is built on transparency. You hid that she contacted you. Because it didn't matter, because the answer was no, because every second of my day is consumed by you and you can't see that. But Sophia was already grabbing her purse. I need to go. No, you're not going to run every time something gets difficult. I'm not running. I'm preserving dignity. There's a difference. Sophia, please. Alexander blocked her exit, not physically, but emotionally, the raw pain in his voice. Don't do this. Don't end what we have over a stupid photo that means nothing. It's not the photo, it's the hesitation. It's the fact that when I asked you to prove I matter more, you stopped to think. I stopped because you were being irrational. I was being vulnerable, and you punished me for it. Sophia walked around him, exiting to the hallway. If you leave now, you're proving my point, Alexander shouted after her. She stopped, turning. What point? That you're just as scared as I am, that at the first opportunity you'll look for an excuse to run before I can hurt you, that this photo is just a pretext for what you really want, an exit before truly committing. The words hit like knives. Go to hell, Alexander. I'm already there, since you entered my life and made me want things I swore never to want again. And you know what's worse? I'd accept every second of this hell again if it meant one more day with you. But you run at the first difficulty. Sophia felt tears rolling. Don't make me the villain for wanting to be chosen without hesitation. I chose you. Every day I choose you. But apparently that's not enough if it's not exactly the way you imagined. You're right, Sophia said, voice broken. It's not enough. Because I deserve someone who doesn't need to think twice before throwing away memories of a past love. She entered the elevator before he could respond. Alexander punched the wall, physical pain radiating through his hand, but not coming close to the pain in his chest. The photo was still in his hands. He looked at it for a long moment, then systematically tore it into small pieces, threw it in the trash, blocked Victoria's number that was written on the back. Too late. Sophia had already left, and this time, maybe forever. 2 weeks of silence, 2 weeks of Alexander sending messages that Sophia left unanswered, 2 weeks of Sophia crying on her sofa bed, hugging the pillow that still smelled like him. You're being stubborn, said Rachel, her best friend, during an intervention visit. I'm protecting my heart. You're punishing both of you for him being human. He hesitated, Rachel. When I asked him to choose between me and the ex, he hesitated. He hesitated because you were testing him, and tests are traps, not opportunities. Sophia wiped her eyes. You don't understand. I understand that you're dying of fear, that you gave your virginity and your heart to a man who warned you he didn't believe in love, and now you're looking for excuses to leave before being rejected. That's not true. No? Then explain why you exploded over an old photo instead of talking like adults. Sophia had no answer. Rachel sighed. Do you love him? I don't know. Liar. You know, and it terrifies you. What if he doesn't love me back? What if he does? Are you going to throw away something real because you're afraid of what it might be? Sophia looked at the leather bracelet still on her wrist. She hadn't been able to take it off. Alexander's grandmother's promise about not letting the past dictate the future. He should have told me about her. He should have. And you should have trusted him when he explained. You both made mistakes. The question is it worth fixing? Before Sophia could answer, the doorbell rang. Rachel opened the door and froze. Hi, Alexander. He looked terrible, unshaven, deep shadows under his eyes, wrinkled clothes, so different from the polished man she'd met months ago. Can I come in? Rachel looked at Sophia, who nodded slightly. I'll leave you two to talk, Rachel said, leaving. Alexander stood near the door, hands in pockets. You didn't answer my messages. Because I didn't know what to say. You could have said anything. Even go to hell again would be better than silence. Sophia stood, maintaining distance. What do you want, Alexander? I need to show you something. He pulled out his phone. My ex called again yesterday. Sophia's heart sank. Alexander, let me finish. She called. I answered, and I recorded the conversation. Because I knew you'd need to hear it. He pressed play. Victoria's voice was soft, manipulative. She talked about longing, about mistakes, about how they could start over. And then Alexander's voice, firm and final. Victoria, you cheated on me with my best friend. You destroyed 5 years of trust in one afternoon. And you know what's ironic? I should hate you, but I don't, because you freed me. Alexander, let me finish. You freed me to find something real. Someone who challenges me, who makes me want to be better, who scares me and completes me simultaneously. And I messed it up with her because your ghost was still between us, not because I wanted you back, but because I was still carrying anger. Then forgive me. Then I forgive you. Truly. Thank you for teaching me what I don't want. Now let me chase what I do want, and please don't call again. Silence in the recording. Then the sound of the line disconnecting. Alexander turned off the phone. I blocked the number, deleted all the photos, closed the door completely. Sophia was crying. Why did you do that? Because you were right. I was keeping parachutes. Not because I wanted her, but because I was afraid to fly without a net. He took a step closer. But guess what? I'm flying, and it's terrifying, and I don't know if I'm going to crash. But I'd rather fall trying to reach you than be safe and alone. Alexander, I'm not done yet. He knelt again. You asked me to jump without a net. I jumped, but I also hurt you in the process. I should have told you about her. I should have been transparent. I should have trusted that our connection was strong enough to handle the truth. You should have. And you should have trusted me when I said she meant nothing. You should have talked instead of exploding. You should have fought for us instead of running. Sophia closed her eyes. You're right. We're both wrong, and we're both right, and we're both terrified. But Sophia, he held her hands, I'd rather be terrified with you than safe without you. You still don't believe in love. No, but I believe in choices, and I wake up every day and choose you, not out of obligation or guilt or lack of options, but because you're the only option that matters. Sophia knelt with him at the same height. I'm scared too. I know. I made mistakes too. I know. I might be falling in love with you, and I don't know how to deal with that. Alexander smiled through tears. Welcome to the club. There's 2 of us. You, I may not call it love yet, because the word is loaded with trauma. But this, he touched her chest, where her heart beat hard. This that I feel when I'm near you, this that consumes me, this that makes me want to be a better man. If it's not love, it's something that comes very, very close. Sophia kissed him, salty from tears and sweet with promises. Can we start over? She whispered against his lips. We can continue, scars and all, not pretending the fight didn't happen, but learning from it. More transparency, more trust, more conversations, fewer tests. Sophia smiled. Fewer tests. Alexander pulled her onto his lap there on the floor. So does that mean I can kiss you again? That means you can do much more than that. Sophia Morgan, you're a bad influence. And you love it. More than I should. They laughed, they cried, they kissed, and slowly they began building bridges over the cracks. It wouldn't be perfect, it never would be, but it would be real, and real was enough. 5 years later, Sophia woke with light filtering through linen curtains. The bedroom was spacious but cozy, decorated with her own designs on the walls. She stretched her arm, but the other side of the bed was empty, still warm. Voices came from the kitchen. She got up, wearing Alexander's t-shirt she'd slept in. Her bare feet made no sound on the wood floor as she walked down the hallway. What she saw made her stop, heart overflowing. Alexander was in the kitchen, back turned, holding a 3-year-old on his hip. Noah, dark hair and amber eyes. Perfect copy of his father. He was pointing at photos on the fridge while Alexander explained each one. And this one. That's Mommy and Daddy on the day we got married. See the pretty dress? Mommy's pretty. Always is. Alexander kissed his son's head. And this one? Grandma! That's right, Grandma, who loves you very much and keeps sending sweets that Daddy said not to eat before breakfast. Sophia entered. But someone eats them anyway, right? Noah laughed, reaching out his arms. Sophia took him, covering the small face with kisses. Alexander pulled her into a 3-person hug. Good morning? Good morning. She kissed him quickly. How many sweets did he eat? I plead the 5th based on not wanting to sleep on the couch. Sophia rolled her eyes. Noah started squirming. Park! Daddy promised park. Daddy promised a lot, Alexander muttered, but was smiling. Go! I'll make coffee. After they left, Sophia circled through the house. The house, theirs, bought 2 years ago after long discussions about future and family. It wasn't Alexander's penthouse or her tiny studio. It was middle ground, balance, like everything in their lives. It hadn't been easy. There were fights, disagreements, days when both wanted to give up. But there was also growth, compromise, daily choice to stay. Alexander learned to call it love. It took 2 years, 2 years of therapy and conversations and painful vulnerability. But the night he proposed to Sophia, he said, I love you, not because it's easy or convenient, but because I choose every day to love you, and I want to keep choosing for the rest of my life. And Sophia learned to trust that he wouldn't disappear, that when he said forever it wasn't an empty promise, that she was enough, always had been. Noah was born a year after the wedding, premature, scary, perfect, and changed everything again. Alexander appeared in the kitchen doorway. He's building a pillow castle. We have 5 minutes. 5 minutes for what? He pulled her into his arms. For this. The kiss was familiar and new at the same time, still caused butterflies, still stole her breath. I love you, Alexander murmured. I know. And you? What? Aren't you going to say it back? Sophia smiled mischievously. Earn it. He laughed, that laugh she loved. 5 years and you still provoke me. 5 years and you still like it. More than like. Love completely and stupidly. Daddy, castle fell, Noah shouted from the living room. Alexander sighed. Duty calls. Go. I'll bring coffee. But before leaving, he stopped, turning. Sophia? Thank you. For what? For not giving up on me when I gave every reason to. Thank you for not giving up on us when it got hard. He smiled. That smile that was only hers. Never, not in 9 lifetimes. Sophia watched him return to the living room, to the noisy chaos that was life with a small child. She looked at the leather bracelet still on her wrist, worn but whole. Not letting the past dictate the future, they'd kept the promise, both, and built something beautiful from the ashes. She touched the necklace she wore, gift from Alexander on their 3rd anniversary. A simple pendant, the number 9 in Roman numerals. "Why 9?" she'd asked. "Because in one night you gave me 9 reasons to believe in possibilities. And then you spent 5 years giving me thousands more." Sophia smiled to herself, picking up the coffee cups. 9 times in one night, blood on the bed, millionaire frozen. That's how it started, but that's not how it ended. It ended with morning coffee, pillow castles, stolen kisses between obligations. Daily choice. It ended with love, the kind they didn't promise in the beginning, but built brick by brick, choice by choice, and it was more beautiful than any fairy tale, because it was real. The end. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and share with friends and family who need to hear this message of hope. To continue supporting stories like this and have access to exclusive content, consider becoming a channel member by clicking the Become a Member button below. Each donation helps us continue bringing inspiring stories like this to you. Comment below what your favorite part was and what story you'd like to hear next.